After being struck by lightning, I transmigrated into a beast world, and got forcibly bound to a more children, more blessings system. To survive, I have to keep bearing children, just as the system asked me to choose between a Boar Beastman or a Hyena Beastman. Without a second thought, I dashed into the ocean and grabbed a male seahorse. I choose him. I'm officially the unluckiest wage slave in history, worked overtime till 2:30 a.m., only to get struck by lightning the moment I stepped out. Never been struck by lightning before, knocked me flat for half an hour, woke up groggy, thinking why the hell am I sleeping here, staggered to my feet, barely took 2 steps, boom, next thing I knew, I was eating dirt again. This time when I woke up, I'd learned my lesson. To avoid getting struck again, I crouched down with my hands covering my head. They say this is the best position to avoid lightning strikes. Only when my legs started going numb did I dare to cautiously shuffle forward a little. You good? Looked up at the now calm but still hazy night sky. This time should be fine, right? Yet barely a meter later, bam, struck again. What the hell? Oh my god, or am I just that damned? A massive electric current engulfed me in a blinding light. The pain quickly overwhelmed me into unconsciousness. When I came to, I found myself in an unfamiliar place. Cicadas hummed and birds chirped around me as I lay on thick, soft grass, pushing myself up on my elbows. I blinked in confusion. Where the hell am I? Dazed, I glanced around before picking up a small stick beside me and poking at the strange boundary line in front of me. Excuse me, why is my hand growing hair? And it's happening to both hands. Well, that's surprisingly symmetrical, but this is just too weird, isn't it? Staring at the odd white fluff ball on the back of my hand, I shook my hand vigorously, trying to fling those 2 clumps off, but this furball seems glued in place, not budging an inch. Gave it a tug. Damn, that actually hurts. Am I mutating or something? I struggled to make sense of the situation before me. As sunlight hit my face, I snapped back to reality and suddenly remembered the scene before blacking out. Holy shit, what mutation? I clearly got struck by lightning. After a brief meltdown, I cheered right up. Does this mean I don't have to go to work? With that thought, I decided to lie down a while longer. Do I look like a doormat to you? Just then, bestial howls erupted from the bushes on both sides. 2 dark shapes came bursting through the undergrowth, a wild boar to the left, a hyena to the right. The moment they spotted me, one leapt, tumbled, and circled me with excited yelps. Another bared its teeth, darted about, then sniffed at me intently. A female, a living female. She smells divine, even more beautiful than the chief's daughter. Bram, I spotted this female first. She rightfully belongs to me. Jax, what kind of bullshit are you spouting? Open your eyes. The ground she's sitting on is half our boar tribe's territory. That makes her mine. As they spoke, a boar and a hound transformed into half-beast, half-human forms and began brawling. While I stood dumbfounded, a fluffy white cotton-like cloud suddenly materialized before my eyes. The cotton cloud sported adorable facial features, its tiny mouth opening and closing as it spoke in a childlike voice. Welcome to the beast world, host. I'm your prolific blessing system. Each offspring you bear extends your lifespan by 1 month and grants a childbirth gift package. Wait, if you wish to keep living, host, you'd better start breeding. Breed to extend lifespan. The system's words struck me as utterly sinister. My past life was nothing but a wage slave's drudgery. What a miserable breeding tool my life has become. Fine. If that's how it is, I think I actually miss going to work now. Hey, whatever system this is, just send me back to my original world already. I never wanted to come to this beast world. You dragged me here against my will. Host, are you sure you want to return to your original world? The system didn't seem offended by my words, its pitch black eyes blinking curiously, sensing my impatience. It waved its tiny hand and summoned a holographic screen before me. The footage playing showed the exact moment I'd last been struck by lightning. My corpse has turned into a charred lump, deader than dead. If I can't return to my old body, maybe I could get reincarnated instead. Who knows, next life I might be reborn into a rich family and finally escape this soul-crushing corporate grind. The thought made my eyes light up. System, since I died on Earth, shouldn't you have reincarnated me in my original world? What's the point of dragging me to this godforsaken beast realm? Host, based on Earth's latest fertility rates, if you choose reincarnation in your original world, you'd most likely be born in an Indian or African slum. Are you sure you want to choose rebirth? African slums might as well not be born at all. And India, that's a country that doesn't even spare exhaust pipes. The thought of those 2 left me speechless. The system arched 2 thick black eyebrows, as if it had anticipated my choice all along. It flashed a cheeky grin. Host, all things considered, the beast world is the optimal choice. I sighed in resignation, tacitly agreeing to remain in the beast world. I knew you'd make the smart choice. Host, my advance loan of 18 years and 6 months of lifespan wasn't wasted after all. The system's words made me explode. WTF, a lifespan loan. I've heard of loans and mortgages, but what the hell is this life loan thing? Sensing my confusion, The system proudly explained, "The beast world is harsh, with low cub survival rates, especially for female cubs. That's why I secured a life loan from the main system for you, host, allowing instant maturation to adult form from the start. Upon reaching 216 months of borrowed lifespan, you've earned a beastkin species selection. I've automatically chosen the most fertile option, rabbit beastkin, for you." This approach both increases mission success rates and maintains system compliance. No need to thank me, host. Please proceed with your first breeding mission at the earliest convenience. How can I breed without emotional connection, even in a beast world? I can't just mate with any random beastkin and heat like an animal. My fury reached its peak as I snapped at the system through gritted teeth. No need to worry, host. I've secured a loan of 18 years and 6 months lifespan for you. The 6-month countdown starts today. With the beast world's average gestation period being 4 months, you'll have 2 extra months to enjoy romance. Just complete your first cub-bearing mission before the countdown ends, host. The system pointed at the 2 beastmen fighting and said, "You're looking at Boar and Hyena beastmen. They're among the less intelligent species in the beast world, easy to trick, just use a little brainpower to win them over." Boar beastmen have 2 mating seasons annually. With litters of up to 12 offspring, hyena beastmen are less prolific, typically bearing 3 to 4 young per litter. You could focus on bonding with one species first, host, or take the direct approach and claim both. After processing the system's analysis, watching the wild boar and hyena fighting in the distance, I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. These 2, I don't want either goddamn one. Everyone else gets transported to a beast world full of hunks, and what do I get? The boar had a burly build all right, but that giant pig head perched on its shoulders and those yellowing tusks, this sloppy appearance, plus the stench you could smell from a mile away, just the thought of having kids with him makes me feel like my life is over. The hyena's head was oddly human-shaped, but when you took a closer look at this energetic young man's appearance, those furry canine legs, what a bootlicker. No. I clutched my head, my rabbit ears drooping low. No matter how much I tried to mentally prepare myself for longevity, I simply couldn't make a choice. The system yawned, its eyelids heavy with sleepiness. Host, what's the difference who you breed with, especially when it's for longevity? Just grit your teeth and get through it. I've placed the newbie starter pack in your inventory, 6 stamina pills, 6 fertility elixirs, a dagger, and some basic medical supplies. I'll now enter hibernation mode. The system will only reactivate after you complete your first breeding mission. Do your best to conceive during this period. System, wait, don't go offline yet. Can you exchange? The system vanished before I could finish speaking. 2 orcs were locked in a fierce brawl nearby. Bram pinned Jax beneath his massive frame, until the red-faced Jax sank his teeth into Bram's nose. Neither was willing to back down. Their savage expressions made me want to bolt immediately. To my left was the Boar tribe. To my right the hyena clan. Either direction would be like a lamb walking into a slaughterhouse, and straight ahead, don't even think about it. And then, there's no way I can match these 2 orcs' stamina. Guess I'll have to rely on those stamina pills the system gave me. I silently summoned the stamina pills in my mind, and 3 mm-sized pills instantly materialized in my palm. Just to be safe, I took out the other 3 pills as well. 2, all 6 pills. I swallowed them in one go. My body quickly surged with energy. I inched forward quietly. Neither Bram nor Jack seemed to notice my movements. Seizing the perfect moment, I bolted in the predetermined direction. Bram, get off me now. That little female, she's getting away. With the natural advantages of a rabbit beastman, thanks to the stamina pill I had taken, I could still hear Jax's voice even after running quite a distance. Glancing back over my shoulder, Jax had released Bram's nose, bearing his sharp fangs in my direction. After calling a truce, they shapeshifted into beast form and came charging straight at me. Good thing I'd taken stamina pills beforehand, and they were both injured from the earlier fight. They still couldn't catch up with me even by sunset. When we stopped to rest, Jax collapsed on the ground and shouted from dozens of meters away, little female, you finally stopped. How the hell can you run so fast?" Bram collapsed on all fours, panting heavily. I knew rabbit beastmen could run. But this is next level, damn it. This old boar's lungs are about to burst. Couldn't be bothered to respond to them after running for so long. I'm not that tired, just terribly thirsty. Licking my parched lips, I silently repeated to myself, water, water, water. Nothing happened after several attempts. Don't tell me we're out of water. As my consciousness entered the space, my world came crashing down. What is it? A lone cabinet stood in the 10 square meter space. Only 2 compartments held anything, a box of fertility pills in one, a first aid kit in the lower one, while the rest stood completely empty. Biting back the urge to curse, stepping out of the space, I kept my eyes locked on Jax and Bram. Nightfall was approaching, we had to shake them off. With that thought, I started running again. This time only Jax was still lumbering after me, while Bram had already given up. As I stepped into a fog-shrouded thicket, I realized Jax had stopped chasing me. He stood outside shouting, "Little female, get out here now. This is a restricted zone. You'll die in there." Jax's voice sounded genuinely panicked. It didn't seem like a lie. Then again, he might just be trying to scare me. Gritting my teeth, I took a few more steps forward, until Jax's voice faded completely. I gradually came to a halt. I didn't move forward. But leaving wasn't an option either. Jax was still standing guard outside after all. Wouldn't going out now be like walking straight into a trap? I froze in place, my rabbit ears perked up to catch any surrounding sounds. The fog grew thicker, nearly obscuring the path beneath my feet. Eerie noises began emanating from all around. I couldn't help but walk toward where the fog thinned, but the mist here seemed alive. The moment I reached a clearer spot, the thick fog would follow. Before long, I was completely disoriented. As I groped forward, something suddenly tripped me. A putrid stench hit me, forcing me to cover my nose as I focused on the object on the ground. A corpse, an orc's corpse, rotten to the point of exposing bleached bones. It was crawling with swarms of squirming insects. I screamed and scrambled to my feet. I desperately wanted to get away from this place. In my frantic rush, the thick fog blurred everything around me. My foot slipped and I felt myself plunging downward at terrifying speed. System, help me. I don't want to die, not now, at least. My desperate cries echoed through the silent night. The system never showed up. Splash, came the heavy sound of hitting water. By sheer luck, it wasn't land below. I'd plunged straight into the ocean. The massive impact left me dizzy, and I inevitably swallowed several mouthfuls of seawater. As I was drowning, I faintly felt strong arms lifting me up. Before I could see who saved me, I sank into deep unconsciousness. Someone had rescued me. It was actually a human. There wasn't a trace of beastly features on him. I woke to find him playing with my ears. Is this what land-dwelling females are like? Such adorable ears. 3. A clear, melodious male voice lingered by my ear as the tickling sensation roused me from sleep. The moment I opened my eyes, I was completely mesmerized. Is this an angel? Standing before me was this stunning blonde with piercing blue eyes. I couldn't help but marvel inwardly. I meant to say, "Hey angel, what are you up to?" But I got so excited that my words came out all wrong. My hoarse voice blurted out instead, "Whatcha doin'? Sorry." His hand froze mid-stroke on my rabbit ears, his fair complexion flushing crimson as startled flashes crossed his azure eyes before he bolted behind a nearby boulder, regaining some strength. I stretched my limbs and surveyed the surroundings. We were in a stone cavern with soft sand underfoot and rocks lining the walls. As I rubbed my neck, a boy peeked up from behind the rocks, watching me cautiously with half his face visible. The figure of the person who saved me last night resembled this boy before me. I looked up and asked, "Was it you who saved me?" He remained silent, only nodding with slightly flushed cheeks, quite the shy one. "Isn't he? Thank you. I'm Rue." I thanked him sincerely. After all, without him, I'd have either fallen to my death or drowned last night. He remained hidden behind the rocks, stammering slightly, "And no need to thank me. I'm Damien. Why are you still hiding back there? Do I look that strange?" I felt a twinge of confusion. He shook his head frantically and quickly explained, "And no, you're adorable. You're the cutest orc I've ever seen." Afraid I wouldn't believe him, the boy spoke urgently, his jade-like face flushing with 2 patches of pink. "Then why have you been avoiding me?" I walked toward him, but the moment I reached the rocky outcrop, his pupils dilated wildly as he shrank back, face deathly pale. "Stay back, stay away." Before I could process what was happening, he spun around to flee, reacting instantly. I grabbed his wrist. "Wait, what are you running for?" He stared in shock as I grabbed his wrist, his voice tinged with disbelief. You're not afraid of me?" So Damien was a hippocampus beastman. In their species, males bear offspring, typically hundreds in a single litter, yet when he was born, he was the only one. Whispers claim he's a reincarnated demon who devoured his siblings in the womb, leaving his father with only one surviving heir. Stranger still, he bears no beastly traits beyond his ability to breathe underwater. Neither ocean depths nor land had ever witnessed such an anomaly. His father perished during the traumatic birth. The orcs became even more convinced of the rumor in no time. He began to be shunned by all the orcs. He feared I'd come to loathe him too, seeing him as a monster. As he spoke these words, Damien's bloodshot eyes welled up with tears. "You looked like a helpless puppy abandoned by the whole world, utterly pitiful." Watching the broken boy crouched on the ground, I spoke to comfort him. "How could that be? You saved me. I'm so grateful I can't thank you enough. How could I possibly dislike you?" Damien stopped crying at my words, staring at me blankly. "Don't you think I'm a monster?" Facing this teary-eyed puppy, I couldn't resist ruffling his fluffy hair. "Being different doesn't make you an outcast. That's called being unique, not a monster at all." /unique, Damien murmured the word under his breath. Seeing how deeply he was pondering, I was about to offer more comforting words. My stomach chose that exact moment to growl at the worst possible time. The unspoken words got stuck in my throat from embarrassment, leaving me rather flustered. Since crossing over, I haven't eaten anything except those few stamina pills, first running for my life, then tumbling off a cliff. After all this commotion, my stomach's been growling in protest for ages. Damien chuckled at my appearance, wiping away his tear-streaked face before saying, "Sorry, I forgot you haven't eaten yet. Wait here for me." With that, he headed toward the shoreline, then plunged straight in. After about half an hour, he came ashore hauling a massive fish weighing over 10 pounds. I expected the meat of such a large fish to be tough. To my surprise, the sliced fish turned out to be incredibly delicious. Not only was there no fishy taste, but the flesh was exceptionally tender and succulent. With Damien by my side, I'm gradually adapting to life in the beast world. The once barren cave now feels more like home. Filled with things we've gathered together these past days, when daily life in the beast world gets dull, Damien entertains me with fascinating tales from the ocean depths. I listen with rapt attention, feeling a growing sense of wonder and envy. "Damien, I'm so jealous of you. I'd love to explore the ocean depths too. Growing up inland, I've always adored the sea. Too bad I was just a corporate drone before and never had the time or money." Reincarnated again. And still stuck as a land-dwelling beastman. That damn system didn't even ask, just assign me this rabbit beastman identity outright. Otherwise, I could be exploring the underwater world with Damien right now. As I sighed in frustration, Damien beside me seemed lost in thought. At dawn the next day, he began scavenging for food everywhere, then made trip after trip to haul supplies to the sea cave. Staring at the stockpile that could last for ages, I couldn't help asking, "Damien, are you going on a long journey?" Damien nodded. He told me to take care of myself, then it plunged headlong into the sea and left without looking back. For half a month, there was no sign of him along the shore. On the day our provisions were nearly exhausted, lightning split the sky outside. I faintly heard cries coming from the cave entrance. Suppressing my fear, I gripped the dagger and moved toward the sound. My mind went blank when I saw the familiar figure lying on the ground. It was Damien. But he was badly injured, covered in blood, if not for that striking golden hair, I might not have recognized him. "Damien, what happened to you?" I sheathed my dagger and helped him up. At the sound of my voice, he tremblingly produced a luminous white pearl from his robe. "Rue, this is for you. It's an aqua pearl. Swallow it, and you'll be able to breathe underwater." It suddenly hit me. He'd actually remembered that offhand remark I'd made that day. "You fool, I was just saying it casually. Why did you have to go so far?" My voice trembled as tears welled up and spilled from my eyes. His slender fingers gently wiped the dampness from the corners of my eyes. Forcing a faint smile, he said to me, "Don't cry, Rue. I'm all right. I'll give everything I've got to make your wishes come true." I held him tight in my arms. Fortunately, Damien's injuries looked worse than they actually were. After some rest, he almost fully recovered, though I scolded him for being reckless. The cool bead in my palm filled my heart with warmth. Swallowing the hydrosphere bead showed no outward changes, yet I found myself breathing underwater effortlessly. Damien used to rave about the ocean's beauty so often, but witnessing it firsthand, no words could capture even a fraction of its splendor. More than beauty, it left me utterly awestruck. As we swam near a coral reef, an oval-shaped red fish circled us wide-eyed, staring at Damien and me. "Damien, what's this fish up to?" Damien chuckled. "This red snapper wants us to eat its garden. Fish can farm vegetables," I exclaimed in surprise. Red damselfish primarily feed on algae. They cultivate their favorite seaweed near their nests, but the thriving growth often attracts sea urchins to sneak in for a feast. Sea urchins are voracious eaters with incredible regenerative abilities and rapid reproduction rates. The damselfish can't handle the infestation alone, so they often recruit passing beastfolk for assistance. Fascinated by Damien's explanation, I dragged him along to help clear sea urchins from the damselfish's algae garden. For days, the red snappers would excitedly circle around Damien and me whenever they spotted us. Just as we began cleaning that day, the haunting melody of a conch shell horn echoed from distant waters. Damien's expression darkened instantly. "Damien, what's wrong?" I sensed something was off with his mood. Gazing toward the source of the sound, Damien explained, "That's the hippocampus tribe's horn call. They only sound it for major events. Are you going back to check?" Even though Damien's tribe hadn't treated him well, someone as kind-hearted as him wouldn't stand by if they were truly in trouble. Damien hesitated, and I knew he was worried about my safety. "Don't worry, we're not far from shore. I'll just gather a few more sea urchins before heading back. You go ahead." Damien kept looking back at me as he swam away, and I waved to him. "It's all right, Damien, I can take care of myself." Ever since saying goodbye to Damien that day, I waited one day, then another, and another. He never showed up again. I started missing him, and couldn't help feeling worried. Did something happen to him? I should have asked which part of the ocean his pod inhabits. Ugh, so annoying, Rue, a voice called from behind, and I turned around in delight. My heart leapt at the thought of Damien's return, only to meet a stranger's face. The stranger had emerald green hair and striking features, though his body was covered in russet-colored scales that made his beastkin heritage unidentifiable. Suppressing my disappointment, I snapped, "Who the hell are you?" He scratched his head sheepishly and grinned at me. "I'm Turin, Damien's friend. He's currently tied up dealing with an orc rebellion in his clan, but he was worried about you, so he sent me to take you to the Sea of Zivos." The Sea of Zivos, is that where Damien's clan lives? Damien rarely spoke about his clan, so I couldn't immediately tell if Turin was being truthful. Perhaps my skepticism showed too plainly, for Turin produced a bandage from his robe. In this beast world, I'm the only one who possesses such things as bandages. Running my fingers over the bloodstains, my doubts vanished. "All right, please take me to Damien then." I dove underwater with Turin, following him into unfamiliar waters. Something fell off as we passed through a coral formation. This direction. It's not the same way Damien left that day. Wait, didn't Damien say he had no orc friends? How could I have been so reckless to follow a stranger, yet that bandage was unmistakably mine? With lingering doubts, I cautiously asked, "Turin, has Damien's sea urchin sting healed yet?" "All good, that tiny scratch healed ages ago." As Turin spoke, alarm bells started ringing in my head. Damien always uses wooden tongues to handle sea urchins. His hands were never injured. There's something wrong with Turin. After swimming a bit longer, I came to a stop. "Turin, I'm feeling a bit queasy. I need to use the restroom. Wait here for me." I clutched my stomach with a pained expression. Turin looked skeptical but agreed to let me relieve myself. After all, this is a biological necessity, swimming to a kelp forest. I immediately ducked inside. When Turin saw I wasn't coming out, he swam in calling my name. I pretended not to hear anything. Maybe he got tired of shouting. As evening approached, Turin's voice faded away outside. I stretched inside and found a cozy spot to sleep. I didn't dare come out until the next day. That was one uncomfortable nap, rubbing my stiff shoulders. I missed my proper bed ashore. At least I managed to shake Turin off. The thought lifted my spirits considerably. "Think you can fool me? Not that easy, kiddo." Just as I was gloating, a sharp pain shot through my neck, then everything went black. I woke up rubbing my head to find myself already ashore. Turin was sitting nearby grilling fish. Seeing me awake, he handed me a freshly grilled fish wrapped in leaves. "Rue, you must be starving. Here, have some grilled fish." I didn't take the fish. Staring at him wide-eyed, "Who the hell are you?" He set the fish aside. "Rue, remember that baby sea turtle you rescued on the beach recently?" Turin's words jogged my memory. I had indeed saved a little sea turtle that got pecked by seagulls not long ago. Back then, I'd even bandaged its wounds with gauze. Was that sea turtle you? I couldn't believe my eyes. The little turtle I'd casually rescued turned out to be a beastman. Then again, this is a beast world after all. "Yeah," Turin replied. Visibly pleased that I remembered him, he continued, "I was injured and could only maintain my beast form back then. If it weren't for Rue, I'd probably have ended up in that seagull's stomach by now. After I saved you. Instead of repaying the favor, you bite the hand that feeds you. I was getting annoyed. After clearly saving this guy, he went and tied me up. Bite the hand that feeds you. Now don't get me wrong, Rue. I nearly laughed in exasperation. You're literally kidnapping me, and you call this gratitude?" Turin looked genuinely hurt. "Rue, there's no need for such harsh words. Kidnapping? I just couldn't bear seeing you risk your life with that useless beastman. Stay here with me, and I can protect you better." "Turin, I don't need your protection. If you really want to repay me, then send me back. I need to find Damien." My words somehow angered Turin. He grabbed my chin with one hand, his face darkening. Damien. What's so great about that good-for-nothing?" As he spoke, his other hand caressed my cheek. "Rue, forget that worthless man. I'll never let you go. Turin is a complete lunatic. He kept me imprisoned in his lair, forbidding me to leave. In my fury, I could only drown my sorrows in food. I viciously tore into the fish meat. Gotta admit, this grilled fish actually tastes pretty good." With my stomach full and Turin nowhere in sight, I propped my chin on my hand, utterly bored. No wonder they say you shouldn't pick up random men off the street. Mild cases lose their sanity, severe ones lose their lives. But what I picked up was just a baby turtle. Damn this beastly world. Wonder how Damien's doing now. Spent a few days with the turtle clan. I realized Turin responds better to honey than vinegar. The more I tried to leave, the tighter he held me captive. I just lazed around eating and drinking all day. He actually let me leave the den for the first time ever. After talking with other female beast folk, only then did I realize the turtle clan's territory was actually a sinkhole. Their ancestors migrated here to evade predators and settled permanently. The sinkhole spans a vast area. Dense vegetation encircles the perimeter, where turtle clan beast folk build their nests. At its center lies a lake whose depths connect directly to the ocean. The passage is remarkably deep and surrounded by rocky formations, with only the Turtle Clan beastfolk remembering the route to the sea. The day Turin and I are to mate is drawing near. I know I can't wait any longer. There's no time to scout the exact route, while Turin and the clan's beastmen are out gathering winter provisions under the vast night sky. All the beast folk of the turtle tribe had drifted into slumber. I crept stealthily out of the den, making my way toward the distant lake. Guided by moonlight, I reached the lakeshore without incident. The pitch-black water surface looked eerily ominous, sending shivers down my spine. The thought of staying meant being forced to mate with an orc I despised. Gritting my teeth, I stepped into the lake. Rue, a woman's voice called out to stop me. This is Zara, one of my friends among the Turtle Clan during my stay here. Just as I wondered if she was going to stop me from leaving, Zara handed me a pouch. These are white glowstones. They'll light your way underwater. You're not here to convince me to stay. I can tell you don't like Turin. Staying would only make you miserable. My mother was forced to stay by my father, and it drove her to depression until her dying day. I don't want the same for you. Zara's voice trembled as she spoke. She composed herself before showing me the underwater escape route. I hugged her tightly. Thank you, Zara. Pushing me away while wiping her tears, she urged, go now. With the route Zara provided and the white fluorite, I swam effortlessly through the lakebed into the open sea. Zara said the waters I once lived in were to the east. Just follow the coral reef after exiting the cave to find the eastern direction. As I was searching, a rough hand suddenly grabbed my ankle. Rue, how did you manage to escape? The escape failed. Turin caught me and dragged me back. He hoisted me over his shoulder and strode forward in silence. No matter how hard I punched him, his grip on my thighs never loosened. Some awakened orcs came to investigate my screams, but all shrank back into their dens under his glacial stare. Turin flung me onto the bed with brute force, his eyes blazing with fury. Rue, I actually thought you'd turned over a new leaf. Turns out it was all an act. You want to run, why? After all I've done for you. After how much I care about you, why would you still try to leave? The veins in his neck bulged as he roared with raw fury. Seeing him like this only fueled my own anger. Turin, I told you, I don't feel that way about you. I want to leave. I must get out of here. I refuse to stay with you any longer. With those words, Turin stormed off. Once again I found myself imprisoned. This time confined strictly to his lair with no permission to go anywhere else. To make matters worse, he cut off my food supply. Not a single meal reached me for 2 straight days. Just as I was about to faint from hunger, he walked in. He carried a plate of crimson fruits that looked like ripe strawberries, their intoxicating aroma filling the air. The moment I saw them, primal hunger took over. I grabbed the fruits and shoved them into my mouth. I devoured them ravenously. The tender flesh and juice burst with sweetness in my mouth. Maybe it was hunger. I kept stuffing them into my mouth one after another. I devoured the entire plate of fruit without leaving a single piece. 6. Soon enough, I realized something was wrong. A sudden restlessness crept through my body. I felt absolutely wretched. Turin scooped me up, a smirk playing on his lips. Now that Rue's had her fill, it's my turn. Fighting to stay conscious, I gasped. What the hell did you just make me eat? The love fruit, meant to use it when bonding with Rue. But you're being downright impossible. He laid me on the bed and then pinned me down. Rue, give me a child, then you'll never leave. No, I won't. System, Damien, I cried out desperately, hoping one of them would come save me. As tears blurred my vision, with a loud thud, Turin collapsed to the ground. Rue, are you okay? Damien asked me with concern. Damien, is that really you? Am I dreaming? I could hardly believe my eyes. After all, I've dreamed of him more than once these past few days, but upon waking, it all dissolves into nothingness. He soothed me. You weren't dreaming. I'm sorry, Rue. This is all my fault. Had I returned earlier, this wouldn't have happened to you. Damien held me tight as we plunged into the lake. The icy water shocked me back to my senses, but soon, my consciousness began slipping away again. Damien, you came for me. You came to save me. My face pressed tightly against his chest as my hands roamed freely over his body. Just the sensation of his skin against mine brought me immense comfort. Damn it, how dare he feed you love fruit? He held me close, muttering curses under his breath. Hang in there, Rue. I'll take you to the sea witch right away. I swam for what felt like eternity, my consciousness drifting in and out like a dream. It felt like I was trapped inside a blazing furnace. The scorching heat left my mouth parched and dry. Damien was basically a human-shaped ice block. I couldn't resist licking the frosty surface that radiated cold. Damien froze and turned to the sea witch. Well, can you find the antidote or not? Your Majesty, the Turtle Clan's love fruit has no known antidote. The only way. The sea witch's words were cut short by my interruption. I nuzzled against Damien's chest. Damien, I feel awful. Please help me. Damien dismissed all the orcs and turned to me. Rue, you're not in your right mind. I don't want you to regret this later. I won't regret it. With those words, I leaned in and kissed him. Gradually, Damien began responding with awkward reciprocation. When desire peaked, we completely surrendered to each other. Night and day, we reveled endlessly in this ecstasy. I woke up rubbing my sore back to find Damien still asleep. Gazing at his handsome sleeping face, I couldn't resist touching his cheek. To my shock, he was burning up. No way, was the love fruit too potent, or is Damien just weak? How did he get a fever? Called the sea witch. After thorough examination, the sea witch still couldn't pinpoint the cause. 3 days later, Damien's fever finally broke. What's more, he began developing beast-like traits. Damien was overjoyed when he opened his eyes to see his marsupial pouch and beastly tail. He spun me around in the bedchamber, exclaiming, "Rue, this is wonderful. I've developed beastly traits. I can bear your children now." Damien and I officially bonded as mates in the sea god's temple. Soon enough, Damien's belly swelled with pregnancy. I gently placed my hand on the baby bump, feeling the new life stirring beneath my palm. In those final days before delivery, Damien was utterly restless with anxiety. 7. Rue, what if the baby turns out to be a monster like I was? Would you hate me? I hugged him tight. "You fool, did I ever reject you when you didn't have your beast form?" Only then did Damien feel at ease. On the day of delivery, the sea witch and I stood on either side of Damien. To our relief, Damien's delivery went smoothly. What's even more astonishing is that Damien gave birth to a whopping 753 offspring in this litter. This completely shattered the seahorse species' reproductive record. The newborns were tiny, barely larger than shrimp, while I was collecting seashells on shore. Damien was herding his massive brood along the coastline. Didn't the system promise a childbirth package? Damien's already delivered. Where the hell is that damn system? I was just venting. The dormant system suddenly sprang back to life with a piercing screech. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. What the actual fuck? Host, what did you do? What the hell happened while I was gone? How did all the beginner to advanced gift packs explode in a single day? Even the ultimate loot box exploded. Did you just recruit both the Boar and Hyena Beastmen? The system kept pestering me as I heard Damien's distant shouts. I plunged into the sea and clung to Damien, pressing against his incredibly firm pecs before muttering, "What do you mean recruited them all? I'm not some fickle woman. He's the only one I want." The system froze at the sight of the Beastman in my arms. A hippocampus Beastman, no wonder. Host, you never disappoint. Now you've got a real shot at survival. I rolled my eyes at the system. Stop changing the subject. Where's my maternity gift package? The system sighed helplessly. Blame yourself for being too OP. You maxed out all daily quests in one go. You literally crashed my system with your overachieving. Your reward backlog is insane. All items will be delivered to your inventory within 7 business days. To make up for the delayed reward, the system even sent me a nanny to help with the baby. But why is this nanny a cat-girl hybrid? I grabbed the system and growled, "Are you sure this is a nanny, not the Grim Reaper?" Ahem. Host, let go of me first. Unit 067 is a feline model mechamorph, specifically engineered after Siamese cats, the nannies of the feline world, as a childcare automaton. His programming is strictly limited to childcare protocols, eliminating any risk of harmful behavior toward offspring. Cannibalism isn't even in his code base. Only after receiving the system's safety certification did I finally entrust 067 with childcare duties, with the nursery mech handling childcare and Seahorse morph's natural rapid growth rate. Before long, Damien and I decided to have another baby. The system looked utterly defeated when it found out, "Host, if you keep having babies at this rate, you'll completely drain our childbearing system." 15 Damien's side story. I'm Damien, a seahorse from our clan. My mother is the queen of our people. My father is the tribe's mightiest warrior. Their union is the most envied in our entire community. When father was pregnant, the orcs in the tribe were all talking. No wonder they're the offspring of our queen and the champion warrior. Look how big his pouch has gotten in such a short time. It's already as large as my mate's was right before delivery. He's back. I bet he's carrying at least 100 pups this time. That's underestimating it. With a belly that huge, how could it be just 100? Must be 200 at least. All the orcs had high hopes for my father's pregnancy. As wild rumors spread, many male orcs in the tribe wanted to touch my father's belly, believing it would bring them fertility luck. Then came the day of delivery. My father had a difficult labor. The Seahorse tribe had never seen anything like this before, sending all the beast folk into panic. Even the sea witch was shocked when he arrived. He'd never witnessed such an enormous belly. My father struggled through the birth. but in the end, only I was delivered. No beast form, no animalistic traits, not even the prized brood pouch that male seahorse beastmen take pride in. To any male, this clearly marks me as worthless. Being able to breathe underwater just makes me more of a freak, whether on land or sea. I'm nothing but a monster. With his dying breath after the birth, father begged mother to spare my life. Mother agreed, though left with the clan. I held neither royal status nor even the dignity of the lowliest commoner. In the ocean, I became the target of every orc's cruelty. I had no friends, no family, let alone dared to dream of a mate. I thought I'd spend the rest of my days in this lonely misery, until the day of the gathering. The orcs of the clan shunned me, treating me like an outcast they wanted nothing to do with. I drifted alone to a desolate stretch of sea, beneath the moon's silvery glow on the sea. I humbly prayed to the ocean god, begging him to grant me a friend. The calm sea showed no ripple. Just as I was about to give up, a desperate cry came from the sky. With a loud splash, a land-dwelling beastfolk crashed into the water right before me. Struggling in the waves, she gasped out, "Ich help me." As I stood frozen, she choked on seawater, barely able to speak, snapping out of it. I quickly hauled her above the waves. Being this close to a female beastkin for the first time, I could feel my heart pounding violently in my chest as if it might leap out any second. Carried her to our hidden shore base, unable to resist the adorable little female before me. I reached up to stroke her ears. Her long bunny ears twitched at my touch, sending ripples through my heart like fishing hooks. Sensing she was about to wake, I hid behind a nearby rock to steal glances at her. She asked why I was avoiding her. I was too nervous to speak much. She came toward me. I tried to hide, to run away, because I'm a monster. I was afraid she'd look down on me. I feared she might despise me, but to my surprise, she didn't. She just looked at me with sparkling eyes and said, "Not at all, you're unique, not a monster." It was the first time an orc had ever said something like that to me. I was deeply moved. She became my first friend. Later she told me how she envied my ability to swim freely underwater, and how she longed to see the ocean depths. I kept her words close to my heart. Legends speak of an underwater temple deep beneath the sea. There exists a mystical pearl that grants land-dwelling orcs the ability to breathe underwater like their marine kin. She was the only orc who never looked at me with judgment in her eyes. I'd give her anything her heart desires. The sound of the clan's horn told me something major must have happened. I hesitated about whether to return, sensing my unease. She reassured me to go back without worries. Little did I know, this departure nearly cost me her. After returning to the clan, I was escorted by guards to the queen's chambers. Gazing at the female who gave me life yet abandoned me to the wild, my heart remained utterly still. Her complexion looked ghastly, radiating sickness through every fiber of her being. Devoid of her former vitality, her eyes lit up when she saw me, reaching out as she whispered my name, Damien. As if drawn by some unseen force, I knelt by her bedside. She caressed my face with trembling fingers, her eyes glistening. "You're the spitting image of your father, Damien. I failed you as a mother. Could you call me mother?" Under her hopeful gaze, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. /mother. I murmured softly, overjoyed. She handed me the royal insignia of the Hippocampian chieftain from her side. "Damien, forgive your mother for not being there for you all these years. I've cleared every obstacle for you. From now on, you'll be the rightful king of the Seahorse clan. No beastfolk would dare harm you again." Suddenly, she smiled at the empty waters before her. "Have you come to take me home?" She closed her eyes forever with perfect contentment. The sea witch beside me whispered, "Mother had carried this guilt for me all these years, but for my safety and future path, she steeled her heart to let me grow wild among the clan." Back then, she and her father fell deeply in love and became mates. Later, when she was chosen as crown princess, many orcs in the royal family resented her, but, after she ascended the throne, someone poisoned her drink. Tragically, her father accidentally consumed it instead. My father was pregnant at the time and thought the baby wouldn't survive, but I clung to life stubbornly. During childbirth, with the royal family still embroiled in power struggles, my father died in labor. Fearing harm would come to me as their only child, they kept me at arm's length and raised me remotely. Though they raised me at a distance, they secretly kept watch over me all along. Every time I was mocked and bullied by other orcs, it broke her heart, yet she dared not intervene. Her position was precarious, and any misstep could put me in greater danger. All these years, she's been meticulously dismantling the royal court, rooting out disloyal orcs one by one, especially those responsible for my father's death. 9. She would have followed my father to the grave long ago, but stayed for my sake, to avenge him and pave my way forward, never resting for a moment. Years of relentless stress finally took their toll, and her health collapsed. I became the new sovereign of the hippocampus beastfolk, with the trusted aides my mother left me. I swiftly brought order to the beastfolk clans. When I eagerly made sure Rue had vanished, the tidal caves showed no signs of beastfolk habitation for quite some time. I sent beast guards to search, and they finally picked up a faint trail. Thankfully I arrived before the worst could happen, but that damned orc actually made Rue eat a love fruit. She begged me for help in her delirious state, but I refused, even as the newly crowned king of the Seahorse clan. How could a beastman like me, devoid of any bestial traits, ever be worthy of becoming her mate? When the sea witch declared the love fruit incurable, I finally relented. To my surprise, curing Rue's love fruit condition brought an unexpected blessing. I actually grew a seahorse tail, complete with a brood pouch. I'm finally not an outcast anymore, and I can even have pups with Rue, all thanks to her. She's my true love. My lucky star. The end. Story 2. Transported into an apocalyptic game where there can only be one winner, players eagerly chose various superpowers, while I alone selected infinite wealth. Everyone laughed at me. In the apocalypse, money is the most useless thing. They didn't realize the zombies weren't the real threat, it was the humans with superpowers. 1. With a system chime, I was transported into the post-apocalyptic game. The game world's public screen displayed that there were 300 players in total here. The system introduction stated that all of us players had already died in the real world, and to gain the ability to be reborn, we must survive in this post-apocalyptic game. System, now please choose your initial items. I quickly scanned the props on the shelves, which were basically all sorts of supernatural abilities. Broadcasts on the World Channel kept scrolling as players scrambled to grab these abilities. Even a second's delay might mean your desired ability gets snatched by someone else. The quantities of abilities like lightning strikes, wind blades, teleportation, and healing spells were dwindling fast. I scrolled to the last page and saw a gold coin placed on the bottom shelf, inscribed with infinite wealth. I immediately pocketed this gold coin. Transported alongside me were the people who had died together on the bus. Class leader Odin chose mind control and noticed me collecting the gold coin when he turned around. He mocked, "Ivy, you're too money obsessed. What's the use of money when the apocalypse has arrived?" Before I could explain, his gaze shifted to the class beauty Vesper, who had chosen receive love. We were utterly shocked as she winked flirtatiously at us. I can receive love from humans, even zombies. With true love protecting me, I won't die. After all the props were divided up, the system's voice sounded again. You have 1 year to train your supernatural abilities and prepare. The apocalypse will begin in 1 year. Please note. There can only be one winner in this game. Only the last surviving player will be eligible to receive the reward. After hearing these words, everyone's expressions became complicated. Those who had previously agreed to form alliances now cast doubtful glances at each other. In this game, there are no friends. Everyone is an enemy. 2. I quickly left the scene and initiated my post-apocalyptic survival plan. On the world map, I kept searching and finally found a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The island size is just right, not too big, not too small. Moreover, this island is extremely far from the mainland, with neighboring islands also quite distant, making it essentially an isolated landmass. It's not located in an earthquake zone or wind belt, and there are no active volcanoes on the island. The island features a natural flat area perfectly suited for building an airport. While the surrounding green mountains provide excellent natural cover, without hesitation, I splurged $1 billion to purchase this small island and named it Future Island. I claimed to be working on a tourism project, purchased 10 large cruise ships, and signed construction agreements with NPCs, transporting all engineering vehicles and building materials to the island. The agreement I signed with NPC executives was a confidentiality agreement. They didn't know the exact location of Future Island either. After the cruise ships arrived at Future Island, workers began constructing a simple airport. I bought 100 aircraft and chartered flights to transport construction workers from various locations to Future Island. The workers labored day and night to prevent Future Island from being located. I preemptively purchased jammers and confiscated the workers' phones. 10 sturdy fortresses were constructed on the island, all built to the highest standards capable of withstanding magnitude 12 earthquakes. The fortresses have been camouflaged, making them undetectable from satellites. However, those were all decoys. The true apocalypse fortress lies underground. The underground fortress can withstand nuclear bomb attacks and biochemical assaults. Even if there are digging zombies or similar threats, they cannot breach the 5-meter-thick steel walls. The surface fortress has secret passages leading to the underground fortress, but the passages are extremely narrow, allowing only one person to pass through. Like a maze, even if one luckily finds the correct passage to the fortress gate, they may not necessarily avoid the traps along the way. If one of the secret passages is destroyed, I can still return to the surface through other tunnels. Otherwise, the underground fortress would become my living coffin in the post-apocalyptic world. Energy is key. To solve the energy acquisition problem, I've installed wind, tidal, and nuclear power generation systems on the island. I built 5 nuclear power plants, with 2 large ones for regular use, and another large plant plus 2 medium-sized ones as backups. These 3 large-scale nuclear power plants and 2 medium-sized ones are all dispersed underground and beneath the sea. There are also biogas digesters underground, equipped with hand-crank generators, extensive battery storage, and diesel reserves for emergencies. Water resources are also well addressed, with installed rainwater collectors/desalination systems and access to underground water sources. The purification equipment can treat contaminated post-apocalyptic water to a level safe for direct drinking. Equipment includes high-temperature instant virus elimination, low-temperature instant virus elimination, ultraviolet spectrum virus elimination, and chemical agent virus elimination devices. The wastewater treatment system is specifically designed to handle sewage generated by the underground fortress. Considering potential flooding risks, all walls are waterproofed, blast doors are airtight, and the underground drainage system is exceptionally robust. Multiple air purification systems are installed to ensure the underground shelter maintains ample and clean air supply. Additionally, I've stockpiled 100,000 oxygen tanks for use in extreme emergencies. The underground bunker is designed with 12 separate compartments. If 1 or 2 fail, the others remain functional. Each compartment serves a specific purpose, with 3 featuring the latest automated farming technology for growing vegetables, raising fish, and keeping chickens. 2 compartments contain enough supplies, medicine, food, and water to last me 10 years. Some warehouses even include bedrooms, kitchens, dining areas, entertainment rooms, gyms, bathrooms, and medical facilities. When NPCs express doubts about my construction projects, I simply tip them money, and they immediately shut up. Working harder to earn more, money is spent recklessly, can't be spent out, simply can't be spent out. 3. I went to the U.S. to purchase a large quantity of heavy weapons, including mobile combat robots and obstacle-clearing robots. I even managed to acquire 2 nuclear bombs through unofficial channels because the payment was substantial enough. In a bay, I've hidden my nuclear submarine and an aircraft, with an underground fortress connected directly to this location. I hired 2 instructors to train myself daily in operating the nuclear submarine and aircraft, to prevent superpowered players from reaching the island. I had artificial reefs constructed offshore where large vessels would run aground and sink. I'll set up an electric fence closer in, surrounding the entire island, along the coastal waters. I've planted bombs and installed radar to detect any approaching objects to the island for immediate interception. I've erected massive electric nets in the air to prevent virus-carrying birds from landing on the island. Within a year, all defensive measures for the entire island were completed, of course, to confuse the enemy. I also made a big show of tourism development in other parts of the world to prevent players from noticing anything unusual. Some shelters are backup locations where I can fly to any refuge without refueling. After seeing off the last batch of NPCs, I was the only one left on the entire island. I spent a fortune to acquire SpaceX and took control of all 122 satellites in space to ensure my network stability. In this year, I acquired all the global airlines and shipping companies. In the final week, I ordered the concentrated destruction of all airplanes and ships. The whole world knows the richest person destroyed all long-distance transportation vehicles. NPCs all believe the richest person has gone mad. Only the players know that this world's richest person is also their competitor. A small window pops up in the chat interface of the player's world. Odin asked me, "Ivy, is that world's richest person you?" Only he saw me choose infinite wealth, but I ignored him. 1 week later, the apocalypse arrived. Players who had maxed out their special abilities were eager to test them. The names and IDs of 300 players were displayed on the public screen. I was number 99, Odin was 100, and Vesper was 101. System warning: the apocalypse has begun. This game will continue running until only 1 player remains. No one expected the apocalypse to arrive in the form of torrential rains sweeping across the globe, from north to south. Prolonged and intense rainfall triggered massive floods, as fierce as the prehistoric deluge from mythology. Although Future Island also experienced heavy rains, due to its small size, the rain clouds drifted away after just 2 days. I didn't even have time to take shelter in the underground bunker. The superpowered individuals were utterly baffled. The world channel was flooded with frantic broadcasts. System: what damn use are our superpowers during a great flood? Exactly. System: you're fighting dirty. System: did I ever say the apocalypse had to be a zombie virus? Everyone fell silent, except for me. No one had assets when they arrived in this world. Over the past year, while training their supernatural abilities, they've also been trying to earn money. It's been hard work, and the supplies they've stockpiled are quite limited. Only some players who use their abilities for illegal activities manage to acquire a villa and build a shelter in the basement. But the floodwaters first submerged the basement, all supplies were soaked, and the entire villa was swallowed by the flood. The shelters built by players in underground garages were also completely flooded. Shelters on higher floors are temporarily safe, but with the endless rain, the players' already scarce supplies are gradually running out, and everyone is panicking. Meanwhile, I was enjoying some tripe and hot pot while watching the live stream. With the aroma of spicy beef broth filling the room, the streamer was seen hiding behind the curtains, secretly live-streaming the situation in the building across the street. A player is manipulating flames to loot supplies. Folks, this isn't special effects or cosplay, this is a real superhuman. He used to be a security guard in our neighborhood, and now he's using fire to break down doors. This is the 10th home he's robbed. The live stream was flooded with chaotic bullet comments. Damn. So supernatural people really exist. Does that mean the apocalypse is coming? Streamer, be careful. After robbing the building across the street, he's coming for yours next. Call the police. Call the police now. After finishing hot pot, I let out a satisfied burp, then took a shower, fresh and clean. I put on a face mask and continued watching the live stream. The pyrokinetic player alarmed the NPCs as a large squad of SWAT officers entered the residential area in rescue boats. Surrounding the building with guns drawn, the streamer exclaimed with trembling hands, "Folks, this is my first time witnessing a shootout. That security guard's fire ability is insane. It melted the iron gate instantly." SWAT teams stormed the building amid intense gunfire. Countless windows shattered from flame bursts, and explosions echoed continuously. Suddenly, a figure flew out from the rooftop, plunging rapidly into the floodwaters below. Not long after, I saw a player's name turn gray in the game public chat, indicating that the player had died. At that moment, in the chat interface of the player world, Odin reached out to me again. "Private Odin, Ivy, let's form an alliance." "Private Odin, look, we're classmates, and our IDs are consecutive. If we team up, we can definitely make it to the end." "Private Odin, you can clearly see this. Reply to me. My mind control ability is very strong, and since you don't have any special powers, I can help you deal with other players later." He persistently kept sending me video requests. I still ignored him, formed an alliance with him, waited until only the two of us remained, then he KO'd me with mind control and became the sole winner. Did he underestimate my intelligence, or overestimate his own? 5. Water and power cut off, food shortages, 3 months of flooding shattered the NPCs' hopes. Finally, some couldn't hold on any longer and took desperate risks. Resorting to looting and arson, players also mingled among them, trying to find a glimmer of hope, but their supernatural abilities couldn't stay hidden, alarming the authorities, who issued arrest warrants for superhumans. Any caught would be sent to research facilities. Within a month, 30 players went offline in the public chat. For a time, the players were like startled birds, each fearing for themselves. Yet the world I inhabited seemed entirely different from theirs. Every day I'd stroll around the island sunbathing, occasionally checking how the crops were growing, and inspecting the submarine and airplane. At dusk, I practiced yoga on the beach before returning to enjoy a lobster feast, sometimes gaming in a grand mansion, sometimes swimming in the pool. Future Island is truly a paradise where I can relax and enjoy myself completely. However, the good times didn't last, and I was eventually betrayed. Someone anonymously posted a message on the world chat. Player No. 99 is the world's richest person and must have built many shelters before the apocalypse arrived. As long as we find Player No. 99, everyone can survive. The Long Silent World channel was instantly flooded with messages. I've seen the news and guessed the richest person must be a player, but didn't know exactly who it was, so it's No. 99. No. 99, come out and speak. You're living in luxury alone while watching hundreds of us suffer. How cruel and heartless. Yes. Such players should be eliminated. Find Player 99, and you'll survive. Brothers, charge. Kill Player 99. All players were filled with indignation, itching to skin me alive. I just want to lie low quietly, but you guys insist on calling me out. I twisted my wrist and typed a message in the public chat. "Everyone, stop arguing. I'm No. 99. I can provide shelter if you need it. But what? Spit it out. Don't keep us in suspense. If you don't speak up, we'll hunt you down. Take all your resources, and kill you." I smiled and continued typing, but I've only established shelters in 4 countries, China, the United States, Germany, and Australia, and each shelter can accommodate a maximum of 20 people. I marked 4 locations on the world map. There are over 200 of you, far more than the shelters can hold. I'm begging you, I'll share the shelter passwords, first come, first served. Please don't come after me. The moment I posted the passwords, All the players erupted in excitement. As long as they reached the shelters first, they could survive the flood. I twisted my sore neck, closed the player world interface, and got ready to wash up and sleep, believing tomorrow would be another different day. 6. Overnight, some players had already reached the shelter. Most of them possessed the ability to move quickly. The shelter was built on high ground, unaffected by the flood threat. When they opened the shelter's door and entered, it felt like stepping into paradise. After all, I built these first shelters magnificently, fully equipped with complete facilities and freezers stocked with abundant frozen food. No, 58 proudly started live streaming on the World Channel. Never expected the shelters to be built this well. Having money sure feels great. Inside, they were feasting on steak and lamb chops, drinking red wine, with the table laden with delicacies. No, 58 said. 12 people have already entered the shelter. Everyone unanimously decided to close the shelter in Huagua. Resources are limited, so others need not come. Other players still on the way saw the live stream and flew into a rage, hurling curses one after another. Outside the shelter, players kept arriving in an endless stream. Rather than drowning in the flood or starving from lack of food, they would naturally cling to this lifeline. The will to survive drove them to desperately beg those inside to open the door and let them in. But the players inside the shelter had already locked the doors securely. No matter how they pounded on the doors or walls, or even used their special abilities, they couldn't shake the sturdy gates. Just as the players inside were feeling smug, I suddenly spoke up. Wasn't it supposed to hold 20 people? There's still room for 8 more, right? I also have a forced password. Even if they've shut the gates, they can still get inside. The hidden door is located at the southeast corner. Beneath the relief brick at the base of the wall, turn it, and the hidden door will be revealed. No, 58 angrily shouted. No, 99, don't you dare cause trouble. The players outside rushed toward the hidden door, rotating the relief brick, and a concealed passage truly appeared on the ancient city wall. The players scrambled forward, competing for those 8 spots, fearing they might not get in. Outside the door, intense conflicts broke out among the players. A seemingly fragile girl, moving too slowly, was running at the very end. Suddenly, countless vines sprouted from her arms, wildly charging towards the players ahead, instantly tripping up a large group of them. The player with wind blade abilities swiftly severed the vines at their feet, then countered with a wind blade that cut through the vine user's neck. The wind blade player was the first to reach the door, input the override code, and as the gate opened, he dashed inside in excitement. Immediately after, another player struck down a large group with lightning, and the second one rushed through the door. As the third person approached the entrance, a player from behind tightly grabbed their leg. The player lying on the ground revealed an eerie smile as the venom from their nails injected into his leg. The venomous player barely tried to stand up and escape through the door when a steel-armored hand pierced their chest from behind. One after another, players fell at the shelter's entrance. The desire to survive made them tear off their last mask. Turns out, the system-prepared superpowers weren't meant for fighting zombies, but for making them turn on each other. The players inside the shelter couldn't hold back either. They all had super speed abilities, but clearly lacked combat skills. If they don't close the gate, wouldn't higher combat power players just waltz in and trap them like turtles in a jar? The Windblade and Thunderstrike players who just rushed in realized this, quickly forming an alliance to deal with the outside players. Meanwhile, the death toll on the public screen kept skyrocketing as fallen players multiplied. What a living hell. I rubbed my temples and switched to the surveillance feeds of the other 3 shelters. Human nature is universal. Fierce conflicts had also erupted outside the other 3 shelters. I stared coldly at the numbers on the public screen. In all the surveillance footage, I couldn't find any trace of Odin. True, why would he ever go to a shelter? Coincidentally, Odin just sent me a message. Private Odin, Ivy. See how well we coordinate even without an alliance. We're clearly meant to be natural allies. Private me, got any shame? Wasn't it you who exposed my identity and threw me into the fire? Private Odin, don't be so angry. If I don't come up with ideas, how can we make players die? You should thank me for reducing the competition. While we were talking, the shelter had already reached full capacity, and the gates automatically closed. Outside the shelter, rivers of blood flowed as those who couldn't get in made their final desperate struggles. The players inside the shelter were celebrating wildly, unaware of what awaited them. I smiled and said to Odin, "It's a shame you're not in the shelter." After speaking, I pressed a button. Instantly, the 1,000 tons of explosives hidden inside the shelter were detonated. I blew up all 4 shelters into a mushroom cloud. The flames rapidly consumed everything around, the intense heat melting metal frames and turning concrete structures red hot. The shockwave even tore apart surviving players outside the shelter. After the explosion, the number of players decreased by 116, only 91 players remained alive. After a long pause, Odin finally sent me a message. Private Odin, I underestimated you. I thought you were a kind and gentle girl. Private me, thanks for the assist. It would have been really hard to gather so many players at the shelter otherwise. Smiley, JPG. The player most likely to reach Future Island without using planes or ships no longer exists. I've been thinking about how to take all these people down in one fell swoop since a year ago. Those shelters will be their graveyard. The news about the shelter explosion couldn't have spread this fast. The other surviving players had no idea what happened, but Odin knew immediately, which means he was observing everything from a distance. At that moment, the system sent me a message. System. Congratulations on becoming the player with the most eliminations. You will receive an additional reward. We look forward to your outstanding performance. When I saw this reward, I couldn't help but laugh. See, this post-apocalyptic world has always been about the survival of the fittest. The players weren't afraid because others died. Instead, they were happy that the number of competitors had drastically decreased. 7. The rain will eventually come to an end one day. For months later, the floodwaters gradually receded, revealing the submerged land. The sun rose again, shining upon the devastated land. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the disaster was over. However, they didn't anticipate that the flood would bring plague, and many deceased NPCs turned into zombies. System. Beep. Congratulations to the 101 players who have passed the first level Doomsday Flood. Next is the second level Doomsday Zombies. Someone immediately broke down. Last time you said there wouldn't be zombies, didn't you? System. Go back and look carefully again. I never said the apocalypse definitely wouldn't have zombies. An interesting system. Wouldn't it be better with zombies? Finally, it's time for supernatural abilities to shine. That so-called No. 99 only has the fate of being slaughtered to look forward to. Finally, it's our turn to turn the tables. What a bunch of idiots. Vesper sent a private message. Private Vesper, Ivy. You have no special abilities. You definitely won't survive the zombie apocalypse. As long as you share some supplies with me, tell me your location, I can come protect you. I slowly typed a question mark. Private Vesper, don't underestimate my ability. It's the sole reason I survived the flood. Of course I know how she survived. She used her gaining love ability to swindle supplies from her neighbors. When rescuers arrived, she was the first to be saved. She used her love acquisition ability to enjoy others' care and affection all along, shamelessly snatching away other people's chances of survival. As the rescue boat passed by a half-submerged building, the sound of a baby crying came from inside. The rescuers wanted to approach and investigate, but Vesper exposed her bare shoulder and tearfully clung to the uncle operating the rescue boat. Uncle, my heart feels terrible. I'm dying. Can we please leave quickly? The uncle felt pity and comforted her softly before driving the rescue boat away. Private me, sorry, I'm not interested in women. Moreover, Vesper knew I was the richest person, clearly not a coincidence. 8. The zombie virus broke out across all major continents. By destroying planes and ships in advance, I cut off the transmission routes to Pacific Island nations and Antarctica, fresh from flood disasters. Countries faced zombie crises, causing their social systems to collapse instantly. Basic zombies weren't hard to deal with, but the virus's transmission was too potent. After repeated spread, mutations began emerging. Just as I predicted, intelligent zombies and those with supernatural abilities quietly came into existence. As long as zombies devour the flesh and blood of superhumans, they can acquire their abilities. Players realized that without forming alliances they would perish, so they began spontaneously uniting, establishing bases to resist the zombie onslaught. However, bases not only had to deal with zombies but also fought amongst themselves, plundering supplies and lives. Facing the zombie virus, I had no choice but to erect steel nets in the ocean to prevent infected fish from reaching Future Island. Though I do regret no longer being able to eat seafood, the sky has also erected an electric grid to prevent birds from landing, and the sunlight appears slightly dimmer on rainy days. I take shelter in underground bunkers, only venturing out after machines confirm the rain is non-toxic. This is the zombie virus's greatest impact on me. The land's networks were long destroyed, forcing NPCs to rely solely on radio transmissions for communication. I don't need such ancient devices. The thousands of satellites in the sky allow me to observe Earth in real time. Just as I predicted, birds would carry the virus. When the virus reached the fragile island nation, the entire island instantly turned into a living hell. One by one, countries vanished from the apocalyptic map, and despair spread. My heart is heavy too. The horrors of the apocalypse are too oppressive. I desperately want to go home. The number of players keeps dwindling one by one. This time it's down to 30 people. 9. An uninvited guest arrived at Future Island, a mutated flying bird zombie. Its head was already hollow, still dripping with pus. It had just flown over the waters of Future Island when it collided with the electric grid. Instantly turned into charcoal by the high voltage, but one feather slipped through the net, drifting down through a gap in the grid. Before it could reach the ground, a robotic dog shot a pillar of fire, reducing it to ashes. This bird must have flown from another island nation in the Pacific. From that day on, large flocks of birds would pass over Future Island every day. The power grid was covered with the corpses of birds. The robots were extremely busy, patrolling the entire island and using flames to incinerate bird carcasses while cleaning the power grid. If even Future Island is like this, one can imagine how dire the situation is elsewhere. I no longer take daily walks on the beach, having resolutely moved into an underground bunker. Today is New Year's Day, but no one in the world is in the mood to celebrate except me. A sense of ceremony is still necessary. I put up spring couplets in the living room and hung a Chinese knot. The table was set with my favorite dishes, and of course, a plate of dumplings was a must. As I enjoyed the New Year's Eve dinner, I played the last Spring Festival gala before the apocalypse broke out. No matter the era, having money always ensures a better life than most. This is an unchanging truth. I remembered my former home, my loving mother, dependable father, and the kind grandparents on both sides. Every Spring Festival, our family gathers together. Mom and Dad prepare a lavish feast. We stay up late after dinner, and I receive a pile of red envelopes. Now that I'm all alone, I can't help but feel the pain in my heart. If I died in the real world, how heartbroken they would be. No matter how comfortable life is during the apocalypse, it can never compare to the warmth of home. I must go back. I will become the sole victor. I took a photo of our New Year's Eve dinner with the Spring Festival gala playing in the background. In the picture, I'm beaming with joy, and steam is rising from the hot pot on the table. Then, I sent this photo to Odin. The next minute, Odin posted my photo on the world public screen. One can imagine players stomping their feet in frustration, with angry comments flooding in one after another. No, 99 turns out to be a little girl, living quite comfortably. Damn it, we can't even get a hot meal, while she gets a whole table of food. Don't get too cocky. I'll kill you when I find you. I couldn't care less, I retorted arrogantly. Then I'll be waiting for you, if you can find me. Exiting the interface, I turned on my computer to review the profiles of 30 players I'd gathered. They'd never suspect that before the apocalypse arrived, my network of informants already blanketed the world. My mercenaries precisely located players scattered across the globe and conducted long-term surveillance on them. I understand every player's strengths and weaknesses. After the apocalypse arrived, the mercenaries survived because of the supplies I stockpiled in advance. They continue to serve me, and in return, I can unlock new supplies for them. Money makes the world go round, and in the post-apocalyptic world, supplies are the most valuable currency. 10. Currently, the world has formed 3 major factions. The first faction is the military, possessing a formidable arsenal with impregnable bases. Odin gained leadership through mind control. The second faction consists of zombies, among whom a zombie king has emerged. He acquired abilities by killing mutated zombies and players. The zombie king is accompanied by Vesper, who became his most beloved companion. The third faction is the gangsters. Long before the apocalypse, 128 infiltrated the world's most dangerous and chaotic nation, subduing the gangs with supernatural powers. Under 128's leadership, the gangsters grew stronger by plundering civilians. The remaining 26 players all align themselves with these 3 major factions. 128 can manipulate gravity, which is an extremely powerful ability. In one-on-one combat, no player stands a chance against him. However, the gang's influence is actually the weakest. I tapped 128's avatar with my pen and said, "Your first, system, beep." There are currently 30 players still alive. The game difficulty will now increase as we enter the 3rd level, Frozen Continent. Someone immediately couldn't hold it in anymore. It's been 1 year and 5 months since the apocalypse began. Everyone is running out of supplies, and with this extreme cold weather coming, everyone on this planet will die. System, have some humanity. System, sorry, but this system isn't human at all. Vesper secretly sent me a message. Private Vesper, Ivy, when the time comes, only the zombies will survive on this entire planet, and I will survive too. You'll regret rejecting me for the rest of your life. She sent a photo of herself with the Zombie King. The more abilities the Zombie King absorbs, the more human-like he becomes, but his pair of crimson eyes and pale skin were physically unsettling to look at. Private message me. Since that's the case, I'll send you lovebirds to the afterlife. The extreme cold weather has swept across the entire planet, affecting even my tropical island. In this Doomsday Online game, you can't really talk about natural logic anyway. An intense blizzard struck Future Island, with the aerial power grid being the first casualty. The blizzard collapsed the power grid, and wind and tidal power plants were also severely damaged. Fortunately, the underground fortress's backup nuclear power plant is still operational. The gangs were the first to collapse, having nearly exhausted the civilians' resources through plundering. Internal conflicts intensified, leading to constant clashes, and superpowered players kept dying one after another. I privately messaged No. 128 through the world chat window. Private me, No. 128, how about we cooperate? Private me, I buried a lot of supplies in your territory. If you can get them, you'll survive. Soon. No. 128 replied to me. Private No. 128, what do you want? How can I trust you? Private me, I need you to deal with the Zombie King. Private me. The team of scientists I assembled has developed a zombie antidote. Just spray it on the zombies, and they'll vanish. But as you know, my combat power is 0. After much thought, among the 30 superhumans, you're the strongest. Only you can do this. Private me, we humans fear extreme cold, but zombies don't. The longer we delay, the greater their advantage. No matter how many supplies I have, they'll eventually run out. And Zombie No. 101 by the Zombie King's side will become the ultimate victor. The Zombie King is too powerful. Without the antidote, no superhuman player can kill him. I have the antidote, you have the powers. Let's work together to eliminate the zombies. To gain No. 128's trust, I sent mercenaries to deliver a dose of the zombie antidote and a batch of supplies. I had secretly sent a group of renowned scientists to an underground shelter long ago, where they devoted themselves to researching the antidote. Persistence pays off. The antidote was finally developed successfully, just waiting for No. 128 to make his move. The gang used that antidote on the zombies, who wailed in agony before dissolving into pools of blood. At the same time, the viruses they carried were also purified. No. 128 was tempted. If only he and I remained in the world, he could easily kill me. To him, I was the weakest player, and forming an alliance with me was undoubtedly the best choice. 11. On a snowy night, hundreds of drones carried the antidote towards the zombie horde. The Zombie King was holding Vesper while sleeping, but his sharp hearing immediately detected something unusual. He quietly got out of bed, making sure to tuck Vesper in properly. A fire burned indoors, all for Vesper. A massive antidote mixed with snowflakes rained down from the sky. The zombies that came into contact with the antidote wailed in agony, melting into pools of blood. The Zombie King flew into a rage, leaped down, and shot beams of light from his palms, shattering the drones. No. 128 led the players charging forward. He activated the universal gravitation ability, pinning the Zombie King firmly to the ground. The powerful king couldn't even lift a wrist. The Zombie King's crimson eyes fixed on the players as a bone-chilling growl erupted from its throat. Several players rushed toward him. The Zombie King let out a howl from its throat as the lurking zombies pounced on the players like swift monkeys, biting through their necks. No. 128 activated their power again, and the towering building was torn apart by gravitational force. Collapsing, the massive boulders crashed down onto the zombies, burying even the Zombie King beneath them. No. 128 flashed a triumphant smile. These boulders were enough to crush the Zombie King into pieces. Vesper stood on the balcony, the cold wind blowing through her hair as she covered her face and let out a scream. No. 128 twitched his fingers, and the terrace beneath Vesper's feet crumbled. She fell from a height that would surely be fatal. At the critical moment, the Zombie King leaped up from the ruins and caught Vesper. Simultaneously, countless thin threads erupted from one of his hands, binding No. 128. No. 128 turned pale with fright, unaware that the Zombie King possessed such an ability. With a gentle pull from the Zombie King, No. 128's body instantly shattered into pieces, but the Zombie King didn't anticipate that. No. 128 was secretly carrying antidotes. The thin wire sliced open the medicine packets, and the wind carried the antidote to envelop him. Vesper screamed uncontrollably in his arms. She watched helplessly as the Zombie King's skin and muscles melted into pools of blood, dripping down the rotting flesh. The Zombie King's eyes still gazed at her tenderly, wanting to reach out and touch Vesper's hair. Vesper shoved the Zombie King away, letting out a shrill cry. Disgusting, get away. The zombie king's eyes revealed a wounded expression, but soon, he dissolved into a pool of blood. The zombie base before them was reduced to rubble, with half-crushed zombies writhing under boulders, leaving Vesper utterly terrified. This place is simply hell. She stumbled through the deep snow, desperately running toward the distance, but soon, she fell into an ice hole and broke her leg. This time, no one would come to save her. Supernatural abilities dependent on others' love are ultimately too weak. On the World Channel, 12 more players' names turned gray. I crossed out their numbers one by one in my notebook. When flipping to number 128, it stated his weakness: gravity cannot manipulate extremely lightweight substances, such as the Zombie King's spider silk. I prefer leveraging information asymmetry to fight battles with absolute certainty. 12. I only have one last opponent remaining, Odin, who controls the military. He couldn't wait to end this game. He shouted at me on the World Channel. This game has always been a game for the clever. Ivy, you've come this far, and that's impressive, but there's always a loser in every game. If you kill yourself now, I won't torture you. I've always known you had mercenaries, but they're no match for the military. You might have some money, but I have missiles, aircraft carriers, and military planes. No matter where you hide, I'll find you. And I posted a middle finger on the channel. Moron. Although Odin's mind control is powerful, it has a fatal weakness. He must use his ability face to face. As long as I hide in the underground fortress, he can't use his ability on me. However, I didn't expect him to directly launch missiles at Future Island. Several missiles bombarded Future Island relentlessly, but after a long time, I still hadn't logged off. Odin felt incredulous. Ivy, you've built quite a good hideout. Then I'll personally drag you out. He brought the aircraft carrier over. To an aircraft carrier, the reefs I set up were nothing to fear. When he landed on Future Island, the entire island was shrouded in smoke, mountains were flattened, the ground was cratered, and all defensive structures were completely destroyed. Looking at the exposed underground fortress gate, he flashed a smile of certain victory, catching a turtle in a jar. I love it. He sent men to bombard the gate with heavy firearms and ammunition. After several rounds of intense shelling, the gate was blown open, revealing the passage inside. I immediately sent him a video call request. He answered the video call triumphantly, looked at the dark passage, and said, Ivy, it's too late to beg for mercy now. He gestured with his chin for the soldiers to enter the passage, intending to drag me out from inside. In the video, I calmly pointed to the vast universe behind me. Who the hell told you I was on Future Island? Open your damn eyes and see where I am. As soon as the words were spoken, a nuclear bomb exploded on Future Island. No living creature can withstand a nuclear attack with their bare body, not even Odin. The name of No. 100 finally turned gray. The system emitted a piercing musical sound. In this game, there are no friends, everyone is an enemy. Dad Odin has a subordinate with special abilities who can determine the latitude and longitude when a photo is taken by viewing it. This is an utterly useless superpower, yet Odin keenly realized he could make use of it. He had sent me countless video call requests, attempting to pinpoint my location through screenshots, but I never agreed to any of them. Later, on New Year's Eve, I sent him a photo. While secretly cursing me as an idiot in his mind, he happily located my position. You're quite good at hiding. After waiting for both the gangsters and the Zombie King to be eliminated, he decided to reap the spoils and blow me up. However, how could I not know which players were under his command? That photo was intentionally leaked by me, just to lure him to Future Island. After sending the photo, I left Future Island. I asked the system, can I use the extra reward you gave me now, system? Of course you can. The reward the system gave me was a chance to teleport anywhere instantly, with supplies in hand. I was teleported fresh and lively onto the space station, but the system gave me no option to return to the ground. I couldn't use this reward until the very end. It doesn't matter now, because I can finally go home. I watched as my body gradually turned transparent. The electronic voice of the system rang in my ears. System, player no, 99 Ivy wins, now entering teleportation phase. 1, 2, 3, I leaped forward. Mom and Dad, I'm back. Story 2, the heatwave was soon to arrive. My parents, along with my brother's family, went straight to my new house. As expected, the high temperatures hit the next day. In the evening, my brother and sister-in-law, complaining that it was too hot at home, moved into my master bedroom. My carefree nephew took over the spare bedroom. My parents stayed in the living room, hoarding all my fans, and I was relegated to the slightly cooler balcony. Now, with the rising fatalities due to the severe heat, everyone was afraid to step outside, yet, my sister-in-law insisted we were running out of food, forcing me to go out and buy groceries. My parents and brother's family pushed me out, leaving me to face the deadly heat alone. When I opened my eyes again, facing my mother's demand to give my new house to my brother and his wife, I agreed, but this time, I was determined to enjoy life. basking in air conditioning and watching them struggle. The sun was blazing, seemingly unleashing all its heat. Today's maximum temperature is 42 degrees, with frequent high temperatures expected over the next week. Please take precautions against heatstroke and try to minimize outdoor activities, the news on TV reported. Watching this, I shivered. A deep, bone-chilling thirst overwhelmed me, compelling me to guzzle glass after glass of cold water until I could drink no more. Finally, the painful thirst subsided. Ding-a-ling, the sound of my phone ringing, I answered, and immediately, my mother's wails came through. "Shirley, your brother has been swindled in his business, and now he owes a huge sum of money. Debt collectors have chased him to our home demanding payment. They are so aggressive, threatening to harm your brother if we don't pay," she sobbed. "I'm so scared. Shirley, your father and I are too old to be burying our child. Shirley, is your new house ready? Can you give us the address so your brother can hide out there for a few days?" My mother's words left me dazed. It was just like in my previous life. She had called, crying, saying that debt collectors were after Bing, my brother, and he needed to hide in my new house for a few days. I hadn't been in touch with them for a long time before that call. I hadn't even told them about buying the house. My parents have always been blatantly biased. Everything at home, except for household chores, was always about my brother. After graduation, I finally landed a job at a major company. My parents, worried I'd moved too far away to look after my brother, went to my workplace and caused a scene that jeopardized my job. Only when I found a job in a city not too far from home did they stop their antics. Then, every time I got paid, some emergency would suddenly arise at home. Then my mother would borrow my money. Even keeping the money meant for my meals. Once, when I had appendicitis and needed $2,000 for surgery, I called my mother in agony asking for money. She cried, saying there was no money at home. She even cursed at me for being unfilial, accusing me of eyeing their savings meant for their funerals. My brother snatched the phone and scornfully asked, "Shirley, you've been working for so many years, how come you don't even have $2,000? And now you want to take your parents' retirement money?" I was so furious I almost choked. Didn't he know why I had no money? I had paid $100,000 for his wedding and lent him the down payment for his new house. The $30,000 for renovating our parents' old house also came from me. "Nephew, come over and stay for a while too." The cruelty and mockery in their words had already stripped away any lingering affection I might have held for them at that moment. The Shirley who yearned for a loving family, who longed for their affection, died completely inside. Hearing my own voice, I said, "Mom, Dad, Bing is my own brother. How could I possibly ignore him? I'll send you the address in a bit. Maybe Mom, Dad, you, and my sister-in-law, along with my nephew, can come over and stay for a while too. Alan, come over with everyone. It's been so many years since I last saw you. I really miss you all," I said. My mom, surprised by how cooperative I was, happily said, "I knew it. Shirley, deep down you still care about us." "All right, then we'll all come over tomorrow. And you better not treat us with disdain," she replied. I suppressed the deep-seated hatred in my eyes. "No disdain, my dear Mom. How could I possibly disdain you? I can't wait for you all to come and meet your demise." I told my mom that the new house wasn't ready yet. I asked them to come over in 3 days. During this time, I rented a large villa with a basement in the neighboring villa area. In extreme heat, lacking food isn't the worst thing. The real threat is power outages. In my past life, many people living in high-rises suffered from heatstroke due to the lack of air conditioning during blackouts and died at home. So, since fate has given me a second chance at life, I need to be thoroughly prepared this time. All the houses in this villa area come with basements. I had visited here when I was house hunting. In the peak of summer, the basement was so cool I felt like wearing a coat. So if you're looking to escape the heat, no other house could be more suitable than this one. Then, I went to the market and bought dozens of boxes of instant noodles, snail noodle soup, self-heating rice meals, self-heating hot pots, and other instant foods. Considering the high temperatures, it's difficult to store fresh vegetables and fruits. I also bought a lot of vacuum-packed vegetables and dried fruits and snacks. The basement is spacious, so I bought 3 large refrigerators. They're filled with my favorite foods like steaks, fish, shrimp, pork ribs, lamb, dumplings, and various frozen items. To beat the heat, I even bought a special freezer for ice cream. In addition to these, I stocked up on plenty of seeds, marinated snacks, and chips. I also stored up on medicinal essentials like Huashangjingji liquid. Passing by a cutlery shop, I casually picked up some decent weapons for self-defense. Fearing water and power cuts, I bought several large water storage barrels with purifiers. I also learned online and specifically installed a solar power panel in the yard to avoid attracting attention, whether buying supplies or assembling materials for the solar power panel. I disguised everything as renovation materials mixed in with other miscellaneous building materials and brought them in myself. Fortunately, The villa has high walls, and the houses are well spaced apart. It took me 2 days to transport everything with Lalamove, and nobody noticed anything unusual. Experts in my past life said that the extreme heat would end after a month, but I died on the 7th day after the peak heat. After stockpiling, looking at the supplies filling the house, I felt that I could survive not just a month, but even a year if necessary. While I was busy buying supplies, my brother and the others were not idle. Right on the day I mentioned, they eagerly called me. "Shirley, we've already arrived at your community," they said. "It's deadly hot outside, but your security guard is stopping us from entering. Hurry up and tell them to let us in and show them who's really in charge here." I finished installing the last camera and disgustingly dusted off my hands. My parents have always been like this, despite having achieved nothing in their lives and being the lowest tier in society. They look down on those who earn their living with hard work. I think the security guard is far better than them. I made a call to the security office, explained the situation, and apologized to them. My parents were let in. They knocked on the door and the family of 5 barged in noisily. My domineering nephew bumped into me as he burst through the door, hitting my stomach so hard it really hurt. My sister-in-law, seeing this, clapped joyously as if she had gone blind to my pained expression. "Ha ha. My dear little treasure, you're really strong. Now you can even take on your aunt, truly our family's precious gem." My brother and the others didn't care about my discomfort. They just walked past me and started looking around the house. My brother complained, "Why would you choose this color for the curtains? I don't like it." "Shirley, you should change them someday. How can there be no computer in the house? How am I supposed to play games? And they say you're a big shot in the city." I think that's nonsense. My father spat on the new carpet I had bought. "How can this house be so small? Just a 2-bedroom living room. How can it fit 5 of us? They say you've made something of yourself now, but I think you'll never measure up to your brother." My family was extremely critical of my house. My cunning sister-in-law dashed into my bedroom. She started fiddling with the skincare products on my dressing table. "Shirley, what brand is this Mystery of the Ocean? I've never heard of it. Is it like the Mystery of the Blue Sea? It looks good. Just give it all to me." Though she phrased it like a question, it was more of a statement. She wasn't really asking for my opinion, but I didn't care. These products were intended for her anyway. In my previous life, she took all my skincare products whether I liked it or not. This time, I deliberately prepared these counterfeit products for her. "Enjoy using them, dear sister-in-law. A ruined face package awaits you." My nephew ran around the guest bedroom, then disappointedly stormed into the living room shouting, "Stinky aunt, why don't you have any toys? Go buy some for me. I want the figurines that city kids have, so all the other kids will envy me." Watching my chubby nephew throwing a tantrum in the living room was almost laughable. It's not that I didn't have any toys. In my previous life, he destroyed all the figurines I had carefully collected. When I scolded him, my father slapped me twice. This time, I had already put those things away in advance. In this life, they can forget about taking anything that belongs to me. After they had thoroughly criticized my house, my mother finally remembered I was there. She took my hand, looking pitiful. "Shirley, we've been on the road all night without eating. Can you take us out for a meal?" I frowned. "Go out to eat?" My mother nodded eagerly. "Yes, out to eat. Your nephew wants to eat lobster." "Can you take us?" Hearing about lobster? My nephew stopped his tantrum and quickly got up from the floor. "I want to eat lobster, and abalone, and crab," my sister-in-law said cheerfully. "Yes, all of that. Let your aunt treat you." I looked at my sister-in-law and shook my head. "Sister-in-law, don't say that. I really can't afford it." My sister-in-law frowned. "You can't afford it? Shirley, what do you mean? Have you become so stingy since living in the city for a few days? You ungrateful girl, rebelling now, are you? You won't even spend on your nephew. I'll beat you to death." My dad rushed over, intending to slap me just like in the past, but this time, I wasn't the foolishly filial Shirley anymore. I grabbed his hand and said, "Dad, sister-in-law, do you think the new house I bought just fell from the sky? This 2-bedroom apartment cost nearly $2 million. I made a down payment of $600,000 and took out a loan of over $1 million. I have to pay more than $10,000 a month for the mortgage to pay it off. I've been eating plain boiled noodles for over a year, since Alan wants to eat lobster and abalone. Dad, why don't you treat us that way? I can also enjoy some good food," hearing that he would have to pay. My dad immediately calmed down. He just pouted and complained, "Having to pay so much each month, you foolish girl. If you can't afford it, why buy such an expensive house? It's because of you we can't even afford seafood." Hearing that there would be no lobster or abalone, my little nephew started crying uncontrollably in the living room. My mother, feeling sorry for him, kept blaming me. "It's all your aunt's fault, Alan. Don't cry. Grandma will buy you pork buns tomorrow." But my nephew wasn't the least bit interested in pork buns. Angry, he started hitting my mom on the soft flesh of her stomach. The house turned into a scene of utter chaos. Eventually, seeing they couldn't squeeze anything out of me, my mom reluctantly went to the kitchen and cooked a pot of plain noodles using the packet I had. After cooking the noodles, my dad looked at me and snorted, "Useless girl. You can't even afford to treat Alan to lobster. You're not allowed to have dinner." He forgot that the noodles they were eating were mine, and even the pot was mine. As dinner ended, the sky gradually darkened, yet the temperature seemed to rise. My brother, who was overweight, kept complaining about the heat even under the air conditioner. Eventually, he couldn't stand it anymore and went to take a shower. Then it was my sister-in-law, my nephew, and my parents. After they finished showering, my sister-in-law pulled my brother into my master bedroom. Shirley, Bing and I aren't used to the small bedroom. Let us stay in the master bedroom. She didn't wait for my reply and pushed me out the door. Just as I glanced towards the secondary bedroom, my nephew sprayed me with a water gun. "Stupid aunt, my mom said this house is mine. You're not allowed in here." I didn't want to deal with this brat and walked to the living room, only to see my dad sprawled in his underwear on the sofa. Seeing me, he said, "Useless girl, your dad likes to sleep without clothes. You better not stay in the living room." I stared at him. "Where should I sleep then?" My mom walked over, looking troubled, and said, "Shirley, the house is too small. There really is no extra space for you. Why don't you sleep on the balcony? It's quite breezy without the windows." They wanted to send me to the balcony again. In my past life, they had driven me there, afraid that I would come in at night to enjoy the air conditioning. They even locked the balcony door. I spent a day and a night on the balcony without a hint of breeze, nearly dying from the heat. The feeling of thirst surged in my throat again. I looked at my parents, who gave birth to me but never treated me well, and said, "Stay on the balcony. It's so hot outside. Aren't you afraid you'll cook me?" My mom rubbed her hands and said, "The balcony is a bit hot, but it won't kill anyone, Shirley. It's all because mom can't control your brother and sister-in-law, letting them take over your master bedroom. If you find it inconvenient, maybe you should just stay at a hotel," she said as she transferred me 50 yuan. My mother is the only person in this family who occasionally shows me kindness, yet, it was this very person who, in a previous lifetime when everyone forced me to go out to buy groceries, handed the knife to my brother. She was afraid that if I didn't go out, her beloved grandson would go hungry, but 50 yuan is hardly enough for a hotel. Last time, I held my ground, thinking why couldn't I stay in my own house. In the end, they drove me out and I literally died from the heat outside. This time, since they wanted me gone, then I would leave. I looked at this cold, shameless family and said, "Fine, I'll go." I pulled out my suitcase and started packing my things. I also packed all the food and drinks we had stored at home into my suitcase. My sister-in-law, who watched me pack the entire time, didn't stop me since all I took were some inexpensive noodles. She merely mocked me for being a poor soul who fusses over a few packets of noodles. Ignoring her barks, I packed my things and left without looking back. Dragging my suitcase, I hopped onto the truck I rented and headed straight for the villa I had rented. The outdoor temperature was already very high. Upon arriving at the villa, I immediately turned on the air conditioning. Only when the temperature dropped did I start to feel alive again. I watched the indoor temperature rise, knowing this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, the temperature was set to reach a terrifying 50 degrees Celsius. The extreme heat was coming. There was plenty of good food in the villa. I heated up a steak and paired it with some red wine. I celebrated my escape from that greedy family. After dinner, I lay comfortably on the big bed in the villa and fell asleep, waking up the next day. The sun was already high in the sky. Looking at the outdoor thermometer, wow, it had already soared to 52 degrees Celsius. This temperature was not suitable for going out. Like in my previous life, many workplaces had declared a heatwave holiday, and schools had suspended classes. The central air conditioning was no longer effective due to the high outdoor temperatures. I took all my belongings and moved to the cool basement. For lunch, I ate ice cream with snail noodles while watching a surveillance video on my phone. My mother and brother had slept until past 10 a.m. When they got up, my chubby nephew was so hungry that he threw a tantrum for food. My mother rushed into the kitchen to cook for him, but all the food was gone since I had taken it. She couldn't prepare anything. Seeing that my mother couldn't produce a meal, my nephew stormed into the kitchen and began hitting and kicking her. The whole house echoed with my mother's cries, yet no one was there to speak up for her, and the only one who would have cared, me, had been driven away by her yesterday. As the family panicked in hunger, I watched, almost wanting to laugh. After eating, it seemed the temperature had risen even higher. I turned down the air conditioning in the basement and grabbed another box of ice cream to cool off. Just as I opened the ice cream, my phone rang. Clicking to answer, I heard my mother's frantic voice. "Surely, there's no food at home, and Alan is crying from hunger. Can you come back and bring us some food?" I scooped a mouthful of ice cream, leisurely responding, "But Mom, the hotel I'm staying at is a bit far, and I've got a lot to handle at work." Mom's like that. She never thinks of me when there's good news, but the moment there's trouble, I'm the first person she thinks of. I looked at the phone surveillance and said, "Mom, my brother and sister-in-law are home. Have them go out and buy whatever you need." My brother angrily said, "Shirley, it's so hot outside, how can you expect us to go out? I'll figure out a way to send some food over quickly. Wouldn't you feel bad if the little one starved?" I smirked coldly. "Brother, instead of blaming me, you might as well go downstairs right now and take the little one out to eat. I'm busy here. So I'll hang up now," and I ended the call, seeing that they couldn't rely on me. My brother, pointing at the continuously crying little one, started to curse. "Cry, cry, cry, will skipping one meal kill you? You're all fat anyway. Skipping a meal could be seen as dieting." My sister-in-law, feeling sorry for the little one, hugged him and turned to my mom. "Mom, why don't you go out and buy some groceries? The little one can't stay hungry." My mom, looking pitifully at the blazing sun outside, had no choice but to bite the bullet and head out. As everyone was counting on her, she came back in the afternoon, her body swollen and red from sunburn, peeling in places. Just like me in my past life, she suffered from sunburn. Despite returning with sunburns, she only managed to buy a few packs of instant noodles at a high price because it was too hot outside, and hardly any stores were open. Seeing that she had brought back so little, my dad, far from being sympathetic about her injuries, scolded her instead. The things my mom brought back weren't much, and my brother and the others didn't think of going out to get more. I watched on the surveillance, the lazy bunch lying motionless on the couch, and I laughed. "It's just perfect. You're not going out now, and soon you'll never have the chance to go out again. Everyone will soon realize that starting tonight, the sun isn't going to set anymore." Experts say this is due to changes in the Earth's magnetic field causing an unusual phenomenon of polar day. My mom brought back more than a dozen packs of instant noodles. Actually, if they rationed them, it could last a few days, but seeing how my brother and nephew were eating like they were starved ghosts reincarnated, I doubt those supplies would last 2 days. Just like in my past life, by nightfall, everyone finally realized something was wrong. The sun, which usually sets around 6 or 7 p.m., was still blazing in the sky at 10 p.m. The ground was scorchingly hot, even hotter than during the day. It was completely impossible to go outside. News kept breaking about people dying from the heat. Authorities realized the severity of the situation and continuously urged everyone to take precautions against the heat and definitely not to go outside. 3 days passed, and the situation had not improved. My brother and the others finally panicked. Their stash of instant noodles, eaten without restraint, was long gone. My nephew wasn't even playing on his phone anymore. He was crying from hunger at home. When my brother's video call came through, I was enjoying a hot pot. Seeing his call, I changed the background before answering. As soon as we connected, my brother hurriedly asked, "Shirley, where are you?" I coldly laughed and replied, "Where else could I be but in a hotel?" Of course, my brother forced a smile and said, "Shirley, the hotel isn't as comfortable as home. Come back quickly, will you? I miss you all. By the way, when you come back, could you bring us some food? We haven't eaten all day." So the real reason they want me back is just to bring them food. I usually have a habit of hoarding supplies. In my previous life, our family had stockpiled quite a bit of food. With careful rationing, the 6 of us could last a month without a problem. But my brother's family was spoiled by my parents. They were used to indulging in lavish meals, and even when the extreme heatwave hit, they couldn't change their ways. So, it didn't take long before we were running low on supplies. Once we were out of food, they started to guilt-trip me into going out to buy groceries. I was reluctant, but my brother threatened me with a knife to go out. He said if I couldn't bring back groceries, I shouldn't bother coming home. With no choice, I went downstairs, but just a few steps outside, the soles of my shoes melted from the heat. The streets were deserted, littered only with the dried corpses of small animals. I was terrified. I desperately made my way back. When I finally got back to the front door, parched and overheated, I begged them to let me in, but no one would open the door. In the end, I died of heat exhaustion right at my doorstep. Thinking about this, I couldn't help but grab the cold Coke on the table and took a big gulp. "Shirley, are you actually drinking Coke?" they asked. I laughed and replied, "Yes, and it's cold." My brother licked his lips. "Cold Coke, Shirley, you actually have cold Coke to drink. Can you bring us some when you come back? I haven't had anything cool to drink in days. This damn weather is just too hot. Now even the air conditioning blows hot air, and the fridge is warm. I can't stand it anymore." I glanced at the high temperature alert on my phone. Sighing, I said, I want to come back too." I've missed Ellen these past few days, but I went on a business trip right after our last phone call. I'm hundreds of kilometers away from you guys now, with all transportation halted. I really can't make it back, brother. Just hang in there a bit longer. Maybe it will cool down tomorrow. Thinking about going back is just daydreaming. A family of several adults, all capable of moving around. They don't think about solving their own problems. They're always thinking about how to take advantage of me. Well, this time, let them think. On the monitor, when my dad heard I couldn't return, he pointed at my mom and cursed, "Look at the useless child you raised. Can't even help us out in a crunch. Since she's not coming back, you go out and buy groceries." My brother quickly agreed. "Exactly, Mom. You wouldn't want me and your grandson to starve, would you?" Now my sister-in-law decided to show some filial piety, handing my mom a parasol from her bag. "Mom, with the parasol, you won't get sunburned, and while you're out, buy some marinated food for me. I'm tired of eating plain noodles." Seeing the whole family pushing her out the door, my mom broke down crying. "It's over 60 degrees outside. You're sending me out to die." Hearing my mom's words, my heart felt like it was soaked in water, sour and swollen. She knew going out now meant certain death, yet in my past life, she had forced me out the door herself. She was always so kind to me. Every moment of vulnerability was just for the sake of her beloved son and her eldest grandson. My mom snatched my brother's phone and cried to me, begging me to find a way to get some food sent to them through a friend, but I just shook my head and refused, just like she refused to open the door for me in her past life, seeing that she couldn't rely on me. My mom still felt pity for her eldest grandson and her good son. She grabbed my sister-in-law's umbrella and prepared to head out. Before she left, she coldly said to me, "You useless wench, I regret giving birth to you. If it weren't for you, would I have to go out in such harsh sunlight? I should have drowned you in the urine pot when you were born." I watched my mom's face contort with anger and hung up the video call. "My dear mother, you have killed me once already. The knife was in your own hands." 09. My mom didn't return home that evening. My dad was anxiously pacing around at home but didn't suggest that he or my brother go out to look for her. By the next day, she still hadn't returned. I knew then, she couldn't make it back. She died out there, just like me, 3 days after my mom disappeared. My dad finally realized that the woman who had been with him all his life, whom he had also bullied, was dead. He lay on the bed, weak and crying out, but in this household, the only woman who listened to him was now dead. His son, daughter-in-law, and grandson didn't care to listen to his cries. They left him in the living room and hid in the master bedroom. On the 7th day of the scorching heat, my dad hadn't eaten for 5 days. That morning, overwhelmed by hunger, he got up from the couch. He went to the master bedroom to find my brother and the others, but when he pushed open the door, he found my brother, sister-in-law, and nephew secretly eating instant noodles together. It then became clear, it wasn't that there was no food at home. My brother and his family had hidden it away. Furious, my dad yelled at my brother, "There's still food at home. Why did you lie to your mom to go out and shop? You've killed your mother, and now you ungrateful children want to hoard the food and starve me to death. Is that it? You heartless things, I'll kill you to avenge your mother." My dad picked up a fruit knife from the table and lunged at my brother. In the scuffle, the knife somehow ended up in my brother's hands. Then, the person who fell was my dad. 10. When I opened the surveillance again, I saw my dad with the fruit knife stuck in him, lying on the ground dead. My brother was shaking with fear. "What should we do?" "I didn't mean to. It was him who started it. This was self-defense." My sister-in-law's eyes flickered ominously. "Right, it's not your fault." My brother frantically said, "Let's throw him outside. There's no one out there. Nobody will notice now." My sister-in-law held my brother's hand. "No, we can't throw him out." My brother looked confused. "If we don't throw him out, what do we do?" My sister-in-law licked her lips. "Freeze him in the fridge." "Freeze him in the fridge?" She nodded. "Yes, who knows when this heat will end, and we only have that last packet of noodles left. If we don't think of something else, are we just going to wait to starve? There's enough meat on Dad to last us a long while." My brother looked at our dad's body for a long time, then nodded. With my sister-in-law's help, they froze my dad in the fridge. Piece by piece, I downloaded these videos and anonymously sent them to the police department's emergency email. Then I never opened the surveillance again. I didn't want to know about their matters anymore. 11. After spending a relaxed month in the villa, the terrifying heat finally ended. Following a rain shower, the weather returned to normal. The phenomenon of the midnight sun also disappeared. The day after the heat ended, I received a call. The police told me that they had found my mom's body on the street. According to the location they provided, it was only 100 meters from our building. So, if my dad and the others had been willing to go out and look for her, maybe she wouldn't have died. They also informed me to visit the police station. My brother and his family had been arrested. After receiving a video tip-off, parts of my father's body were discovered in a refrigerator. As my father's daughter, I refused to write a letter of forgiveness for my brother and sister-in-law. I requested that the judge impose heavy sentences on them. Ultimately, my brother and his wife were sentenced to life and 15 years in prison, respectively. My nephew, Alan, was too young to be jailed, but I refused to take him in. He was the darling of the family, not mine. In the end, he was sent to an orphanage, without the coddling of my parents. Perhaps one day he might turn out to be a good person. I sold my house at a low price and moved to another city to start a new life away from my vampiric family. From now on, every day of my life will be immensely more comfortable.